So I got a really interesting comment the other day on my YouTube, and I wanted to talk about it. And the image of Japan is that technology here is so futuristic and we're living in the future, but it really is two sides to that coin. Some parts of Japan are super advanced and super futuristic, and the technology here is very accommodative, very intuitive. And you think you go somewhere and the door opens up or like the toilet seats are fantastic. But then other things that you would think would be common sense as far as technology goes just don't exist sometimes, or is really frustrating doing things. And of course there are lots of videos and contents about floppy disks being used by the government or fax machines and things like that, and that is true. But you will find, like, for example, websites like, let me tell you something. Japanese websites, the UX on websites here is not up to snuff at all. Like, generally, from dealing with IT people, how I understand it, it goes like this. What needs to be made gets made, but it's made for the function. It's not really made for the user experience in mind. And then a lot of times what happens is, when in the future something else needs to be added onto it, it's kind of like stacked on top of it like clay. It's not, the whole flow of it isn't really thought. It's just like extra pieces of it put on like Legos. So that can happen over time. And if you can imagine like an IT company that's been around since the 90s, the start of it is technology from like the mid to late 90s, and then you build on top of it in like 2024 right now, and then you have this monstrosity that is just completely terrible to navigate, and there's no one there willing to start over from the beginning, because the old school users have gotten used to dealing with that thing. So for example, someone like me who comes along, 20 something years later, and you're like, yo, well, how do I use this thing? And that happens quite a bit here. It's getting quite a bit better in some aspects, but especially with websites, like the user experience of any website, most apps, I kind of just have to write it off. I know what I'm getting myself into, and you kind of will. You'll figure it out too as you come to Japan. I mean, I remember like 10 years ago, like 10, 12 years ago, one of my friends came to Japan with her fiance at the time, and they had their debit card, and they were like, what's a debit card? Like, I think a few years after that, I saw on NHK, which is the main news here, there was like a 15-minute explanation of what a debit card is and how to use it, and the difference between a debit card and a credit card. And that's kind of indication of things get kind of stuck in their ways here. So I'm not bashing Japan or Japanese technology. There's a lot of things here that I'm like really, make my life a lot easier. But then on the other side, you can't be surprised when something that you've been really accustomed to and that has become just commonly used in every other part of the world except for this country doesn't exist here, or is a complete hurdle to deal with. So that's about it. Please like, subscribe. Let me know with a comment if you've had any drama or issues with Japanese technology, and I'll holler at you next time. Peace.